big cases you have coming up is Pamela Turner. Talk a little bit about that. What's the strategy and where are we at in that?
On May 13th, it will be the 2-year anniversary of the tragic killing of Pamela Turner, an unarmed black woman who was on her back and a police officer who was on his feet shot at her 5 times, hitting her in her face, her chest, and her stomach. And unbelievably, he's still employed by the Baytown Police Department. So we're demanding that he be terminated for what he did on that video, claiming the life of Pamela Turner. On May 25th will be the next court hearing for Officer De La Cruz, the officer who killed Pam Turner. And it's ironic that it's on the same day as the 1-year anniversary of the killing of George Floyd. So we have to make sure that we elevate Pamela Turner's name because her life matters. Black women's lives matter, and too often black women are not given the attention or the recognition that others are given when they are killed unjustifiably in America.
What is the strategy and the evidence you have in this case?
With Pam Turner,
Mm-hmm.
like George Floyd, the video shows us exactly what happened. Exactly. Now, like in all situations, the courts often come up with technical justifications to justify the killing of unarmed black people. But thank God for technology. Thank God for video. The only difference between Rodney King and George Floyd and Pamela Turner is that we now have better video.
What is justice in this case?
In Pamela Turner's case, to make sure that she gets full justice, to make sure that her family receives the same justice as if it was a white woman down there who was getting shot in the face and in the chest, in the stomach by a police officer unarmed.
And have they released the body cam video to you?
They have not released the body cam video to us, but thank God there was a citizen who captured cell phone video that went viral. And I expect that on May 13th, all America to be watching that video of Pamela Turner as we have a rally for justice for Pam Turner and supporting black women.
And
Let me say that again.
Sorry.
And I suspect all the world will be rewatching that video of Pam Turner. It will go viral again on May 13th as we have a rally for justice for Pam Turner and support of black women in Baytown, Texas at 12 noon on May 13th.
do you plan to meet with the family while you're in town?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And what is the message that you share with them when you meet with them?
That I know it's a long road to justice, but don't give up because Pam Turner is worth fighting for.
Do you think because it's
Their mother is worth fighting for.
and it's been 2 years, is there any obstacles we think we might face in this case?
Well, I've been a civil rights lawyer for the better part of my professional career, but I've been black all my life. And it is a learned experience as a black person in America that we can never take for granted that a police officer will be convicted for killing a black person unjustly, despite whatever evidence we have. So just like we were focused on making sure we got justice for George Floyd, we have to be focused to make sure we get justice for Pamela Turner.
What was that moment like for you when you heard that guilty verdict 3 times?
Well, I think like most people in America, we were able to exhale. I was so heartened by all of the people protesting, the multicultural, the multi-generational, the multi-geographical people from all walks of life who were saying, until we get justice for George Floyd, none of us can breathe.
What is your message to the graduates out here today?
That we can have a better America, that we can have a more just America with them just standing up and using their influence and their voices. we can have a better America for all our children, one where, you know, Ahmaud Arbery is not lynched for jogging while black, one where Breonna Taylor can sleep in peace and not be killed by police busting in her front door at 1 in the morning, illegally and unjustifiably leaving her body mutilated with 6 bullets. And we can have a more just and better America where George Floyd gets an opportunity to take a breath without a police putting his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
I'm sorry. Did you ever think that you would be the face of this movement? And what is it like being that face?
You know, I'm always humbled when people, you know, give these titles, Black America Attorney General and other things, so you take them very humbly, but you never ever forget what your mission is. Your mission is to try to make sure that little black and brown children, little marginalized communities are never kept away from the American promise, that they're never kept away from those constitutional protections that are promised to all Americans. And so, as I stand here at Texas Southern University, the home of the Thurgood Marshall Law School, I'm forever grateful that Thurgood Marshall blazed the trail that I'm following, and that I hope to make that trail wider for the graduating class of the Thurgood Marshall School of Law to continue to champion the cause for justice for marginalized people all over the world.
And one more question, I'm sorry. Going back to Pamela Turner, do you see the struggle over the taser being an obstacle in the case? Do you see that being an issue?
I know they're going to present all kind of defenses to try to justify this police officer who assaulted and battered this woman who was doing absolutely nothing, and then tased her, even though she never presented a threat of violence to him. And then when she did what any human being would do who's tased, would try to pull the taser out of them or get a taser, prevent themselves from being tased, and they go to the ground, he gets up on his feet. And we now have expert testimony, objective evidence that had he been trained properly, he should have known that there was no way that she could fire that taser again without getting the cartridge that he had. And so it is tragic that this black woman was killed by this police officer in this manner. It was unnecessary and unjustifiable. He had all kind of options. He could have gave verbal commands. He could have created distance. He could have called for backup. He could have did any number of things. But to shoot her 5 times, to shoot at her 5 times while she was on her back saying, "I'm pregnant," it was obvious he had no consideration and respect for her life or any life that could have been inside her. And the reason I get so emotional, because when I think of Pam Turner, I think about my mother, I think about my sister, I think about my wife, I think about any number of black women who could have been on that ground with that police saying they didn't matter. And so whatever justification they try to offer, it is the intellectual justification of discrimination, because they would not have done that to a white woman.
And I have one thing you can look at, you know,
No.
Janelle, and then we'll go.
Thank you so much for your time. Our time is out.
Okay, I just one quick thing, that is, when you look out those students out there today, do you see any of you think to yourself, one of these people could be a hashtag one day?
That's the tragedy. It doesn't matter who you are, who your parents are, what neighborhood you live in, what zip code you live in, what degrees you have. It seems like black people can be killed for walking while black, driving while black, shopping while black, sleeping while black, babysitting while black. I mean, think of all the instances where black people have been killed and they were committing no crime. Botham Jones in his own apartment, Atiana Jefferson babysitting, Terrence Crutcher walking away with his hands up in broad daylight. It did not matter. Any of them could represent any one of those graduates that graduated from Texas Southern, because tragically, our skin color has been equated with criminality. And until we can change that dynamic where they see our children like they see their children, I think this implicit bias will proliferate too many more hashtags that I can't even bear to fathom.